Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 22nd / and final Swampside chat. One second. Live on Twitter. Live on Facebook Live. We are live. Hello, Twitter. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. And hello, Rob Mob. I am Rob Anderson. I am running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District. Y'all should probably know that by now, but I'd just like to get it on record. We are doing our 22nd carrot Swampside chats. The reason there's a carrot is because we numbered the first couple. The quarantine hit. We missed a couple in a row. We started the numbering system over. So since late March, we've been doing this every Wednesday, -1, I believe we've met. So welcome to the final Swampside chat. Now, the asterisk to that, which I was discussing with Dave backstage beforehand, is that I'm going to qualify that if there is a runoff due to Louisiana's jungle primary system or a victory, obviously I will be doing town halls on a regular basis in the future. I merely meant for this campaign, if we lose outright on November 3rd, this will be because next Wednesday we're not doing one. So let me go ahead and introduce the team real quick. Campaign manager Claire Stagg is here. Deputy campaign manager Ash Levesque is here. Social media director Dave Longlinay is also here, but he's in the other room ordering our ramen noodles for what we're eating after Swampside chat. So hello, Tristan. Hello, Alicia. Hello, Susan. And they say hi back, by the way, everybody. Half the staff just left, so transparency. If nobody's talking, it's because I'm all alone in the room now. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so that's exciting. Yes, we're down to 13 days until the November 3rd election day. Here in Louisiana, on the 16th, early voting began, and it runs up to the 27th, excepting Sundays. So the early returns are positive. Obviously, we have a lot of early voting this year. We have a lot. It is a presidential year election, so we have a very high voter turnout. The numbers are very gratifying, and we're sitting in the position where we're starting to realize we can actually win or force a runoff. We might be in this for better results than have been predicted a year ago. So everybody's just saying, hey, so far I have questions on Twitter. Yes, but I have no staff yet to decipher all that. So wait a second and I'll get to the Twitter questions when somebody comes back. Instead, I will. Yeah, don't rush, Dave, because I was going to go into the criminal justice reform. We were supposed to have a special guest tonight, a educator with whom Dave was negotiating. Couldn't make it this week, and we were going to talk about criminal justice reform specifically. So that gives us a chance to. A lot of times, I know I'm known for talking about infrastructure. It's my passion, actually building up the district and rebuilding now that we've had 2 hurricanes and, of course, a pandemic, which has affected infrastructure across the board, from mass transit to actual people's houses and roofs and insurance costs for damage. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. And we've, a lot of people are hurting down here. There's a lot of quandaries. So, we've really are geared towards rebuilding. That's really what the focus of the campaign has to be about. We all know that we're not at like some great high point in history. Unfortunately, we're in a bump. We got a health crisis. We've got a precipitating. We're on the precipice. Precipitating means it's raining. It's not raining money. It's quite the opposite. We are on the precipice of a major recession or depression. There's massive unemployment. Down here in district, there's a lot of people who lost their house or had their houses very damaged. A lot of that's going on. A lot of businesses have been shut down due to COVID and due to inadequate PPP loans getting down to the ground level, to the small businesses, to my neighbors and my friends, at that niche of the working class, your restaurants and all of them, they're all hurt hard this year, and it's bad. So it's all about rebuilding. So we were gonna spin off and talk about criminal justice reform. So we said, well, why not? Since the live televised debate tomorrow between all the candidates, except for, of course, Captain Clay Higgins, who's declined thus far, although he did pull that trick in 2016 against Scott Angel, and then he showed up anyway. So I will, say for the record, I'm prepared either way. I am prepared to debate with the other two candidates and lacking the incumbent, who says that his record speaks for itself, which it really does. So that's a big gift. And then if he shows up, it's even better. Then I can address the issues our district has directly to Congressman Higgins. His honorarium of Captain Clay Higgins, I've never said before in this campaign until tonight, and it'll be the last time you hear me say it, because he's not a captain anymore. And it's political shenanigans with Jeff Landry's AG post that he has the title of captain now. So I don't agree with how he got it now. Pardon me for taking a break there, but I think I've been talking for 6 uninterrupted minutes. So, yep, there's Osh. Ramen's for Rob. I love ramen. Yeah, especially, it may be a millennial thing, because ramen to me, of course, having had periods of my life where I didn't have money or food. Of course, the ramen noodles, 10 for $1 when I was a kid, and it's a cliche for college students, of course. And my son went to college a few years back, my daughter a few years before that. The only experience I'd had with ramen was in the packaged, cheapo stuff. And then I had it at a restaurant with Claire at the beginning of this year. As a matter of fact, it's the first time I had it in a restaurant. I said, go to a restaurant for ramen? That's so bizarre. But I said, okay, I trust you. So we were in Baton Rouge for that day for whatever reason. And we went to a ramen restaurant, and it was like, wow, is this what the noodles are supposed to taste like? I never realized that. Now, they do put a half-boiled egg in there, which to me is it's just weird. I love boiled eggs. I love deviled eggs. But in a soup, I just couldn't get behind that. So you take the boiled egg out, and I'm all about it. I mean, you can put the sliced meats or have it vegan. It's all good. The noodles are good. The broth is especially good at our local place, which I'm not shouting out. I don't want to commercialize this, but yeah, we're having ramen because it's something that, a lot of the team can get behind. I was previously, Dave is wrestling me back and forth because I was previously a pho fanatic, of course, and as is Osh. And Dave is more the ramen school, and Claire also. So we kind of split back and forth which one we order. And now you know entirely more about the team than you probably wanted to know. But it's true that a good political team, and I have a good political team. Objectively, you can observe that from the outside by any metric. I will put up my young and full of integrity staff that I picked. Claire had worked in politics for years, but she was just really good at it. She was fringe and progressive, and Dave is very stolidly independent and actually related to a longtime politician who he doesn't do the name on. I didn't say the name.
You better not.
I'm not going to. Yeah, and so Dave has done it under his own steam, but he did have that mentor. There's a lot of expertise. Osh, of course, worked at Jazz Fest for years as an organizer and whatnot. So, we have some real world Louisiana experience all in this room, and they've done amazing. And I guarantee everybody who comments on social media specifically, what?
We just lost Facebook Live. It says trying to reconnect.
Okay. Well, sorry, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I'm still speaking for you. The YouTube one gets archived.
I'll work on it. Technical difficulties not a thing. Oh, wait, we're back.
We're back on Facebook Live. Hey, welcome back to Facebook Live.
For your tea, sir.
Thank you. As everyone knows, it's the tradition for Swampside, and especially for the last one, we have a cup of tea. Dave has become somewhat of a brewmaster with teas over the last few months. It's a new hobby he's gotten into. He's got a specialized teapot. It's a whole thing. It may be weird, but I have coffee in the morning, and for Swampside I have tea. So here we are. We have this, we should eat the soup egg for the people. I would, and I have, and I do, but de gustibus non disputandum est. In matters of taste, there's no dispute. And why is that? Oh, you're turning that off now. Yes, we have a ringer on if you hear that buzz in the background. So I have this amazing team. And part of what we're going to do, I think a lot of history, I really do. I mean, this isn't arrogance, but I do think political experts at least are going to be studying this district and this race afterwards, how we adapted to a pandemic through digital means, with a modest budget. Now, when I say modest, since all our finances are obviously publicly disclosed, as of the last time I looked, we were at $262,000 raised since the beginning of this campaign, since it was launched. So for Louisiana, that's actually quite solid for a Democrat. And if you don't know that, I promise, go look it up for a congressional race. And we are still fundraising very well here towards the end, as people begin to realize that the returns from the polls are saying, "Hey, this guy's for real. I mean, he could actually do it." And people love to bet on a winning team. So the support from around the country and around the district and around the state from everybody has been invaluable. And I thank you for that, because that's how we got here to where we are. And so that's why I do believe it will be noted and studied historically. And I myself am going to add it to my memoirs. I'm announcing it publicly tonight. I've talked about this with the team. I'm going to add the whole chapter of this campaign to my book of memoirs and then reissue it. Maybe get a major house to pick it up. That would be nice, instead of being Amazon publication. Go ahead, Dave.
Interesting enough, actually, some branch of Harvard actually reached out to us to add our campaign to their collection of historical political memorabilia.
No shit.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if y'all just heard that, Harvard, a branch of Harvard. A branch of a subsidiary. I'm sure it may have been a poli-sci class, but nevertheless, Harvard reached out to for what did they want? Information materials, shirts. What did they want?
Materials, and actually specifically buttons. Oddly enough,
buttons. Yeah, a lot of people collect the buttons.
Yeah, they want our buttons.
Okay. Do we make sure they get them?
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Oh, okay. We already did that. So that's awesome. This is. The 262. Yeah, most of it wasn't spent on ramen though. What people don't see is the media costs, and it's in the disclosure report. I mean, they don't see it as in it's not a sexy thing. We spend a lot on media. That's how we get in the media, and especially here at the end, our burn rate is fierce. We're covering local radio stations, streaming services, YouTube. They'll be doing paid ads, TV, cable, satellite, all these different packages are constantly being addressed here. Swarmed specific events during the debates, during the Saints games. All these negotiations have been done. And now all the math plays in that we're just feeding the machine. The more support we get, the more people hear the name Rob Anderson, hear about our campaign, hear about our grassroots for the people movement that has become mainstream by the power of the people itself. And it's absolutely true. And I can't wait to write about it. And I can't wait for it, to find out what's going to happen, hopefully on November 3rd or December 5th, if there is a runoff. I believe it's December 5th. Somebody verify that number for me, please. I think it's December. It's the first week, and I'm pretty sure it's December 5th. There will be a runoff. What am I budgeting for my ad buys in the district for these last 2 weeks? Every penny we get, minus costs that we set aside for, and this is a great example of how transparent we are, to pay the employees for their final months. We will pay them all through November. I don't screw my employees, as you know. They get taken care of. A living wage is what we promised. And then there is work to be done after campaign. Even if we lose, there's close the books with the FEC, and there's transitions and moving to office. There's actual physical costs. So that set aside. And of course, any venue rentals like we have on election night had to pay deposits on. That money gets set aside to pay the final balance of things like that, moving costs. But for the most part, every penny other than that set aside amount goes into TV. Or in the streaming and YouTube, and I don't pay to boost on Twitter because that's where we happen to have our biggest following, but we do have to pay for other social media services. So, and that's what happens. This is the reality of it. Is now it's just we buy TV. Somebody donates. You can only donate $2,800 in a federal campaign, but if 10 people donated $2,800, there would be $28,000 more worth of all media ads. That's where our campaign is different and is struck on the ground and really can do it. We're not just, people don't just watch TV anymore. You all know this. But apparently political campaigns haven't caught on except at the national level, where they realize you put your money into streaming and digital and interconnectedness, which probably even boost Instagram, except I don't use it very often. There was the famous and notorious and controversial, shall we say, but very popular progressive AOC hosted a streaming event yesterday on Twitch. It was a get out the vote. And Twitch is a game streaming service. So we do have to realize it. And even though I'm about to be 52 years old, I stay very much, I've always been a tech nerd. Even if I don't know how to, program everything. I used to work Unix back in the IT days. But nevertheless, I still love when technology comes up, and I love new stuff. And I love high-res cameras. And, we have studio mics now, and it's all pretty cool. We just have it makes for a very professional look, even though I am literally in Dave's living room. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to see and hear me clearly. And our messaging is the same thing. We're just very straightforward. This is what I am. That's what you get. There's no shadow groups. There's no corporate PACs and dark money. And that's what makes our campaign different. This is a grassroots campaign that's done successfully. Hopefully. That's the goal. We have you covered on Twitter. Yes, ma'am. Stephen Armstrong, double thumbs up. I know the costs are huge, numerous, and seemingly ever. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. There is no such thing as, I suppose if I raised $1 million in the next week, that would probably be too much, unless there's a runoff, in which case I got to buy a whole new media cycle for the month of November. And then you're into holiday pricing, and welcome to the life of a candidate who's trying to break into an incumbent, who's trying to flip a district. It can be done. What's it? It is December 5th. Right on. Memory's still working. Sharp as a tack. Somebody give me some questions. What do we got? Twitter.
We don't have any questions yet, but we have several people who commented on Twitter specifically that they voted for you today.
Oh, awesome.
A couple days anyway.
Thank you very much.
And let me see. What else do they have?
Facebook Live is out again.
Contributions. Yeah, I know. I'm not really sure what's going on with Facebook Live.
Yeah, just get it as needed. The two bigger feeds are YouTube and Twitter. Sorry, Facebook.
Facebook Live's up again.
If it's going to be, if Zuckerberg can't control his servers.
Bandwidth, honestly. We get like 6
devices
running and 4 of them feeding.
Yeah, there's a lot on the Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah.
We do have good Wi-Fi out here, but it's not quite fiber optic. We're not in the LUS, region, unfortunately.
100 yards away.
100 yards from where LUS ends, Dave's. So I'm sorry. Dave is not happy. So for everybody who has taken a chance on our campaign and has voted for us and contributed to us and supported us and even retweeted us, because we have fans in Britain and Canada who obviously can't contribute in any way, but that social media support, the interaction, helping us build our platform by listening to the people, which is what our platform has always about. It's not my ideas, it's hearing your ideas and then focusing it into how to make a plan out of it. What? You throw up your arms.
Facebook Live just cracked out again, so
yeah, we're going to give up on Facebook. Yeah, we're just going to give out on.
All right, well, it'll come in.
I'm very sorry for those of you who are coming through on Facebook, but I recommend the YouTube feed, which is always solid and it's archived.
We can't see that.
But everybody else can.
Fair point.
Y'all can see what Facebook can't because they suck. Sorry. I'm going to have a sip of tea now. Throw shade. Oh, I did the meme. So yeah, criminal justice reform. After all that, and after shouting out the team, and after shouting out my supporters, we've arrived at tonight's discussion topic. Obviously, I will answer questions if you have them, but you also notice that I don't just sit here and stare at the camera and don't know what to talk about. I could probably talk for 12 hours nonstop about hemp alone. That's the curse of foreknowledge, which is why I make it brief for mass consumption. Legalize it, simplicity. Marcus Aurelius. Yes, sir.
Speaking of
Occam's razor,
and whatnot, you actually mentioned criminal justice reform earlier. We were supposed to have a guest host on tonight.
Yeah.
That ended up not happening.
Yeah.
Embellish on criminal justice
I was in the process of doing that when you interrupted.
I apologize.
Yeah, I had swung back to Chris. It's like, I got it. I got the team in. I got the shout outs. I thank my voters and my supporters. And, criminal justice reform, specifically how it applies. Okay, in Louisiana, we lead the world in incarceration. We and Oklahoma have tipped back and forth last couple of years. We are ahead of even North Korea in per capita. I'm sorry, I keep leaning forward. We went out scouting film locations today, and I got ant bites, so apologies for that. We lead the world in incarceration, even ahead of North Korea, and part of that is due to the fact that we are a former Jim Crow district. There's no way of getting around it. There is no, as I say in my campaign when we go to talk about infrastructure, but there is no economic justice until you have social justice. So there are antiquated methods, even if they aren't laws, that we need to make sure get addressed and balanced. And one of which is the fact that cannabis is illegal is used as a tool to suppress, lock up, incarcerate, and kind of divert the careers of African-American men specifically at a rate 3 to 4 times higher than a Caucasian person like myself. I was arrested in 1987 for the possession of a joint. And I was not even handcuffed. They took us in the back of a police car to the station, fingerprinted, photographed, given an arraignment date, and released on our own recognizance that same day. A bunch of stoned 18-year-olds stumbling out of a police precinct in the broad sunlight because we were at a park when we got picked up. And the truth of the matter, and I do talk with levity, but the truth of the matter is very serious, is that an African-American man in Louisiana might do a year in jail for what is obviously perhaps the age can be argued if you want to legalize cannabis. A lot of people want to treat it the same as alcohol. So perhaps 18, 19-year-old, which we were we were all high school friends who graduated and had no idea what to do with our lives yet. Perhaps you want to raise it to 21. Maybe that distinction could be made, but otherwise, we were engaged in a practice that doesn't hurt anyone, a drug that has never killed anyone. There are associated allergic reactions that some people have had whenever you hear of somebody who used cannabis and then suffered a bad reaction, and then some. I think less than 5 have died in history. It's always because of an allergic reaction, much like a peanut allergy. And while they may ban peanut butter for some schools because of the prevalence of a peanut allergy, you can go to the supermarket and buy a tub of peanut butter. So it is the same principle on cannabis. Some people may be allergic. There may be a test period. There may be a refining period. The days of edibles where the plant-based matter is removed are here because it has been legalized in some states. The science is very well known. We know exactly what's going to happen if we legalize cannabis. And what that means is the growers out here are having trouble with sugar cane, back by Avery Island and, in this region of Southwest Louisiana. Those growers can plow those fields under and not worry about not being subsidized because we're importing all of our sugar now, perhaps, and grow hemp and, create new textile mills, new manufacturing. We bring manufacturing back or exporting. Guess what we also have running through the state of Louisiana that supplies like 60% of the shipping in the United States. You've heard of it. It rhymes with Mississippi River. And it is the second largest port in the United States is in our state. So you look at all this and you go, damn, man, Louisiana really must be rolling in the bucks. No, we're not. We create a lot of wealth. This is the place the wealth comes through. Very few crumbs drop to the working class. And that's what I'm here advocating for.
Shipbuilders.
Yes, I mentioned Baton Rouge. I'm on a roll, man. It's all good. Baton Rouge. As Dave pointed out to remind me to fold into the speech talking about the second largest port in the United States, Baton Rouge, is there also specialized shipbuilders. So if you want to begin exporting a major new cash crop for, say, textile mills in China, since that's where our manufacturing seems to be going, or if they make a new NAFTA and we send them to South America, or if we even ship them elsewhere, well, they'd probably do it across land if it was like Mississippi, Alabama, or other places that were once known for textile mills, the cotton industry, which was part of the slave trades and creating that class distinction between the plantation owner and that racism of keeping the slaves to artificially lower cost. That sort of mindset has lived on to this day, and that's why we have to get rid of, when they talk about entrenched racism, nobody cares what you think about your neighbor. That's called prejudice, and nobody's going to tell you how to think. What we have to do and be sure of is there's no legislative reflection of that. The law has to treat everybody of all, race, gender, sex, the Title 13, I believe, classification, that you can't discriminate based on those things: sex, gender, color of skin. Come on, the law can't be involved in that, and that needs to be brought down to the ground level in Louisiana. Nobody's pushing for getting rid of tradition. You can't confuse precedent and tradition. Precedent, and I'm paraphrasing Robert Heinlein here, precedent is the conceit that somebody at a previous time, acting with less information, made the correct decision. That's what the word precedent means, if you think about it. It was like, oh, there's established precedent for that. Yeah, and it sucked for 150 years. Maybe let's not do that. And now tradition is your spirituality, your culture, your food, your grandmother's way of knitting. And that was one thing that passed in my family, was knitting the way my grandmother did it. And then my mother, who taught my sister. And I always wanted to learn how to knit, but I never learned. And it wasn't an effeminate thing. I do sew. I know how to sew very well. I just never learned how to knit. Sometimes I have ADHD and I can't concentrate long enough, and it takes a while to acquire a discipline. But that's what tradition talks about. And tradition should be family, spiritual, cultural, and it can be regional. And the traditions of Southwest Louisiana are ripe for shattering precedent and making new progress. We'll stay the same, but we'll just all have a little bit better region. Your roads are going to be a little bit better. Your water is going to be cleaner. Your air is going to be cleaner. Your utility prices will drop. All of these things are good. There will be more jobs. Your kids are going to have a better job than you did. They're going to have trade schools funded to transfer to these new high-tech jobs. That's the vision. That's moving away from precedent while holding on to tradition. That's it. That's the pitch. That's the criminal justice reform. So when we talk about legalizing cannabis, we're not saying that 330 million people in America should immediately go out and get high. That's not what it's about. But on the other hand, 50 million of them after a day's work may want to come home and, pop a gummy and stream some Netflix. That's the American way. And they shouldn't do it with legal consequences and where we all benefit. So-called sin taxes, and I hate to bring it up, but there are some people who view alcohol and gambling, casinos, and now cannabis as with a view that it's a sin or some. And I don't understand how it's a sin, but I do understand and I respect that point of view. That to indulge in such activities, there is a price to be paid, and that goes in terms of revenue to benefit your community. Exactly what it should be. And obviously, cannabis being less harmful than alcohol, statistically, scientifically, anecdotally, it's a no-brainer. So you start with that, then you're locking up fewer prisons. We shouldn't have private prisons making money off of locking people up for a drug that shouldn't be illegal. This whole chain of events will then equalize the equilibrium, and I didn't mean to use equalizer, but it will stabilize the equilibrium of the region in terms of social justice. Everybody has the same opportunity, and we really mean it, not like everybody has the same opportunity, wink, wink. If you live in Louisiana, you get to go to the school you want. And that's part of how our investment into you. That it's not free college any more than a home improvement loan is free money. You're investing in yourselves. That's what those kind of acts, bills, laws. That kind of legislation is aimed at. You're investing back in yourselves. And if you're not investing in the next generation of Louisiana residents, then they're gonna the people are going to become doctors, are going to go become doctors, and then they're going to go somewhere else. And that's been part of the brain drain, part of the problem in Louisiana. There's not a lot of high-tech jobs as there are not as many as there are in other regions. We want more of those upper-level jobs, and in all fields, and especially, of course, with the current climate crisis, in green and renewables, because that is the next get-rich field. Our region can get rich by getting onto the next trend, by breaking precedent and going out and let's invest in windmills and solar and desalinization plants ultimately, and all this sort of thing, and be so far ahead of our neighbors that we start selling them our product, and we're exporting water, we're exporting electricity, we're exporting brand new textiles that can be made into clothing or papers from hemp. Because we got there first, we jumped it, and we're not even first. As you know, this has been done in Colorado and Washington State and DC, the city now, and most big successful regions have some form of decriminalization, including locally in New Orleans in our own state. Basically, the agreement in New Orleans is the state troopers they're just not going to arrest you anymore so it's not legal. It's just not criminal anymore. And so we just need to get it off the books. Deschedule it as a Schedule I drug. Get it out of there. Let's start the slate clean. Let's treat it like what it is and not what we thought it was 90 years ago when we first made it illegal based on bad information and bad faith. I do think that it was a racist targeting against people coming across the border smuggling, hefty bags full of marijuana from Mexico, so they made it illegal rather than tax the sale of it. So that's so much not free market. What's that?
Actually, one of two things.
Right, but I don't want to get off. Fund profits for private prisons. I like candidates that had busted with I was busted with weed. I paid a $400 fine, by the way. That was the disposition. And obviously it has not affected my background clearance. Since that, I have had been screened by the FBI. I actually drilled on Quantico Base at one point. So I know I've had an FBI screening and another secret military installation that I can't even say the name of. Again, background check. So obviously the government already considers it trivial that I had a 1987 misdemeanor with a $400 fine for possession of cannabis was the official charge. I was smoking a joint. Let's see. What are the next questions? Many people are moving. Yes, sexual orientation. Exactly. Sexual orientation is not something for which we can discriminate, period. And we have to make sure that it gets down on the ground here in Louisiana. We have had many groundbreaking laws, but we want to make sure that anybody who loves each other, two consenting adults, obviously that doesn't change. Two consenting adults who love each other can get married. That's not a lot to ask. We should totally vote for this guy. I agree. Thanks. Cool. What do you got? Anybody questions? Wow. Y'all just like hearing me talk.
Twitter was freezing a little bit, so we lost a little bit of viewership. But
We've had problems on
Facebook and Twitter have been glitching out.
If you win, can we see you play a game on Twitch too? Yes, I will now officially promise that if I win Congress, you will see me play a game, live stream on Twitch. Yes.
Which game?
ASB had 168,000 watchers.
Yeah, exactly. And my son is a big gamer and streamer. It's his generation more so than mine. Although one of my brother-in-law is also a big gamer. It's not about being old and fuddy-duddy. I didn't mean it that way. But there were some things that as they transitioned into the normal, like streaming, Netflix, Wi-Fi, we were there for those inventions. And I embraced those immediately. Video games I got away from because the early ones were all first-person shooters, and I just had no interest in that sort of game. I like puzzle-solving games.
Which is primarily
Dungeons and Dragons.
Gamer streaming platform, but it's being used by artists, musicians.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Obviously, congressmen, and
Well, it was for a good cause. It was get out the vote, and it's true.
So
Most important thing y'all can do is vote.
it's a good platform.
Yeah. I wish I could. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I got dead air here. So that those are our primary, in Congress, the expression is you're a congressman for 5 minutes and then you're running for re-election. and it's terrible. And I think that part of our process, the way we did it this time, we could actually be in Congress and working in Congress for 2 years straight, because a lot of what we do now with this remote interaction that we've become adept at, we can be campaigning as needed throughout the cycle while 100% staying, concentrating our jobs, whether here in district, doing district services, district, related to constituent services, or in DC, whether we're caucusing with other, in our committees and, working with our fellow Congress people to get new legislation pushed. Either way, we're working it. We don't have to be distracted, obviously, by lobbyists because, we don't take PAC money. So that's an easy one. Let me clarify that as special interest lobbyists is the denigration, because there are lobbyists for what we consider, of course, good causes. There are cannabis legalization lobbyists and there are wind turbine lobbyists, of course. So all these industries have lobbyists. So when I say lobbyists, we have to change the nomenclature, because basically people who are trying to offer you money for legislation, which I'm not sure happens in Washington, but it sure seems like, and that's not something we're going to do. So just making that clear now, anybody who wants to make a big donation, sorry, you don't get to buy me. This is what we're standing for. And if you're behind that, that's where we encourage people to donate. We're not going to change except for what our constituents want and need. From our analysis, what would most improve the district. And obviously, in our case, that is social reform and economic reform hand in hand. Everybody benefits, and everybody's got a little bit better of a school and a little bit better of a road. And let's someday tackle the I-10 bridge. Somebody's got to eventually. It might fall down one day before it ever gets addressed. So let's actually pay attention to those things. And making sure there's supermarkets in certain areas of town that are underrepresented by commercial businesses because the police have abandoned them going there, and they're considered high crime areas. And you know what I'm talking about. I live near one myself, and people have to have access to basic resources, which makes the neighborhood better and improves the value in and of itself. It isn't always about punishing crime, but punishing the sources and the symptoms that create economic disparity, for lack of a better term. Let's make sure everybody has access to a job, and then everybody's wealth goes up. I'd love to tackle federally 1% unemployment in 10 years. I think it could be done. If we start focusing education on splitting people into their diverse interests at a younger age, where we don't crank them out at 12th grade, expecting them all to pursue either a doctor or lawyer degree, or dig a ditch or wait tables. There's more. There's all kinds of gray areas where a trade school specialization at the right age could steer you into the right path, and then you're productive earlier and happier in jobs. I had to at a juncture in my life, I had to move around to find where I felt most comfortable, and that ended up being in building and outdoor stuff, which is bizarre because I've always been an intellectual. So finding that balance in my middle age really led me to the second half of my life, which I think I did better than the first, where I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I was in a rock band, I was writing books, and I was painting on weekends when, in the 5 minutes of spare time. I was raising 2 kids, I was married, and I was working full time and commuting at one stretch 2 hours each way every day on a train, that's when I slept and did my reading, was those 4 hours. So, getting the kids earlier, what they're really good at, I think is the key to education, not standardized testing. We don't expect everybody to know the same thing. Why do we expect everybody to know the same things? There's so many diverse human interests, and, we need to push people to go where their abilities will take them. And it's not a standardized. And even now we have a slight classification of the AP, advanced placement or gifted program that I was in when I was younger, is what they called it then. But we really need to encourage every child to really learn the way that's best for them. And it's not just 2 different ways. There's 30 or 40 different ways, but to be able to them to create their own path. I did for learning myself, only because I have nearly a photographic memory and just this yen to know every answer to every question, which is very annoying to my father on road trips because I asked questions constantly for 12 hours. That was before the internet. Otherwise, he would do what I ended up doing with my son when it happened to me, which was hand him my phone, put on the browser and say, Google it. And then he would literally he'd ask me the question and I'd say, Google it. And he'd start looking it up. Then he'd read me the answer. Then we'd discuss. And so the 21st century, you can adapt. You adapt. And the same style, whereas they'd buy science books, a pile of them before a road trip and stuff them in the back with me and say, shut up. And I'd read them all like the first 3 hours of the trip. And then the next 20 hours, I'd be asking questions again. See, so you'll connect with voters on Twitch, not be bought by special interest groups, and fight to get the I-10 bridge built. How is that fair for the other candidates? It isn't, because we really, I mean, I always, my boss, there's several important lessons I learned from my first real boss, who I consider as the owner of the print shop that I worked at from the time I was 19 until right at 29. He had two big lessons. One was, where there's a will, there's a way. We ran on, at that time period, it was print deadlines, and printing deadlines are like, I'm sure, any other major deadline, but there's a hysteria that goes with it. And so you learn how to meet the deadline, to peak at maximum efficiency right at 0 hour. It's just a way I sort of learned how to do it. It's becoming apparent again on the campaign for me that I had cycles up and down, but I had this date, this time period, and I am most mentally prepared of the entire campaign these last few weeks, where now I'm at peace. I know we've done what we can do to get here. My only remaining concern is to make sure the message gets out in the presence of other candidates. I'm certainly sure so I'm not going to be rattled by other candidates in a forum. Forums, if you haven't seen me on one, tune in tomorrow night, because that's my wheelhouse. Debates are where I go to thrive. Before that, I'm rather passive. When I'm in combat mode, I'm something to watch. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, by the way, it's streaming KATCV on all our social media. We've shared it. So where there's a will, there's a way. And the other one, which I pass on to my employees, and they drives them nuts, but I think it's a good learning experience for them, is give your work to the busy people. That was the other lesson. My first boss, his name was Dominic, by the way, Dominic Durso. Shout out to Dominic Durso, Italian old family. Dominic said, give your work to the busy people, which sounds counterintuitive, but it means if somebody who's busy, who's always got something engaging their time at work, you give them more, because that's your most efficient person. Not somebody who's always behind schedule. It doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean you only like one person, you dump everything on them. But the person who knows how to manage their time so that they're constantly productive, and that counts downtime. I mean, nobody at work can be productive 100% of the time. You'd burn out. But your cycles are timed after projects are done, type thing. And it goes right into politics. It absolutely works. Your peaks and valleys are expected. You prepare for them mentally and physically, and you work with them. And like last night, personal anecdote, had to get woken up early this morning, much earlier than I would have liked, because we were doing media buys, and there's certain schedules and timetables on that, and the last minute deals are being put together. So this is not a yelling at any member of the team. This is just like, here's reality. And I got up, and I was not happy, but we got the task done. And then now here I have still been doing what we do all day long, and still have not slept, and yet perfectly functional, and only had 2 chocolate covered coffee beans. It's true. I kept myself limited, because after this I will be trying to get to sleep, because tomorrow's a big day. Friday's a big day. So from here on out, everything's kind of a big day. I'm in that mode, but I'm relaxed, ready, confident. We feel good. Our platform is polished. There's going to be a big launch tomorrow that has not been spoken about publicly in any way yet. A few insiders and good friends and people who helped us put this legislation together have been notified and have seen the art, and we're there. We're ready. So tomorrow is going to be our coming out party nationally, I hope, because it leads into the presidential debates, and we do have that on airtime. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So all of y'all who knew us when, here's our moment to shine, and either we do it or we don't. And so, and I'm at peace with that. I know we put in maximum effort, as Deadpool would say, maximum effort, and we have. And for that, Dave and Claire and Osh and many others behind the scene who aren't publicly known, not to hide them. It's just I'd say their name and it wouldn't mean anything to you. Like Susan. There you go. Susan is one who's, there are a lot of people like that. There are many, 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 many people who are really invested in this campaign, and it shows. And you see how it's reached, and it's reached every aspect of lives and how we've managed to reach so many people during a pandemic. And so I'm very proud of my team. And, I get accused of being humble by some people who don't know me as well as others. And I get accused of being arrogant by some people who don't know me as well as others. I'm somewhere in between. About things that we do well, I am confident. I don't call it cocky. I don't call it arrogant. But I know we know how to do some things. And this team, after the entire year, they are a well-oiled machine. And we had evidence of it today, and you'll see it tomorrow. But there was a thing that we needed to do at the last minute. It was done. It was done smoothly, perfectly. Every step executed. So that helps keep me calmer. Their performance really gives me, as the conductor of this particular symphony, I'm where I need to be, that I won't let them down. Tomorrow I go do my job, and I convince an entire district in Southwest Louisiana that not only am I the obvious choice for U.S. representative from LAO3, but ultimately the only choice, because the best service to our district will be if I'm elected. And I actually believe that. And I don't think that is a marketing tool. I think that objectively, even looking at the other candidates and their platforms and their character has to be included when you talk about the incumbent, certainly. I think we're good. So that's why we seem alternately up and cocky, but it's like, no, we're good. We're wherever we want to be. This is what we were trying to do. We are doing it. And so it's more like just watching, if you ever watched the movie Witness, a barn raising. In my case, I was thinking of, pulling up a wall, but you see a barn raising. It's a bunch of people working together. All the pieces are bolted or, done by dowels and Amish furniture. Actually, they use doweling to connect, but the whole building's coming up, and that's what's happening right now. Let's see. You're welcome, Susan. Can't wait to watch the debate tomorrow. It should be, if I have anything to say about it, it will be good. Any questions? Anything?
No.
I'm about ready to sign off, y'all. If you don't have any questions, only because that's right. It's not bragging if you can do it, Babe Ruth. That's the way we look at it. One thing I can't do, I can't sing. So you never hear me arrogant about being singing. Because if I sang, or like a Johnny Cash, I walk the line. I can, but I can't sing. That's like one of the few. I sang background vocals when I was in a rock band. I played bass guitar. I play guitar. I play piano. I don't sing. I can go, that's about it. See, that was horrible.
Yeah.
So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rob Mob. I really do hope I see you again, because if I do, that means we're in a runoff or we've won and we're on to town halls. But this is the final scheduled one for right now. Save your voice for tomorrow. Yep. I'm going to be cutting out. I suck. What? Susan. The Sasha Baron Cohen. Okay. I will make a brief comment for the news. I don't know if y'all even saw it. It's a report about a report about a report, so I'm going to report on it as such. Sasha Baron Cohen, as we know, has made, but it's just now coming to light, the little teasers for it, a sequel to Borat. You heard about that, right? And it's done in surreptitious video like he did the first one. But this time he got Mike Pence at a Mike Pence rally.
No way, really?
Called him Mike Penis. As in, yeah. And he got apparently also, allegedly, anecdotally, y'all look it up on your own, Rudy Giuliani laying on a bed playing with himself while there's a young reporter in the room on camera. And Sasha Baron Cohen jumps in and says she's only 15. This is what is being reported. I have not watched the clip. I am reporting on other people talking about having watched the clip. Rudy Giuliani then issued a statement saying, I was just tucking my shirt into my pant. There's video. It's out there. How do I think about it? I think the possibility that Rudy Giuliani is the type to sexually harass someone. Yes, I do think he was a mayor for many years and he has that powerful old white man vibe where he thinks he can get away with anything. It's also possibly true, and I will acknowledge that he was just too fat and fell down on the bed to tuck in his shirt. I have not watched the clip, so that is the extent of the analysis I will give. I don't like Rudy Giuliani, but that doesn't color my descriptions at this point, except that I would not be one. I can never imagine Rudy. Yeah, I can imagine doing that. So I'll grant you that one. I know it's all over Twitter. I've been dodging it. Literally, I've seen screen caps. It's like, nope. Can't get. I'm in the zone. I'm telling you, I'm in the zone. I'm in the debate zone. Today, Dave was talking about stuff for Friday. Nope. Next thing up, swamp side. I one at a time. I'm really tunnel vision right now. Sorry, that's the way it's got to be. And you'll see why, because I'm going to do each step. And we're going to get it done. So Sasha Baron Cohen, I will say, I have tremendous respect for the genius of Sasha Baron Cohen. I understand that his work is so groundbreaking, but it's controversial, shall we say. But I have enjoyed his work very much. I think almost every movie he's done. It's kind of like Bill and Ted. I do have secret guilty pleasures. They don't color my legislative agenda. They are what I use to amuse myself. Sometimes I put my AirPods in after these type of evenings and I watch TikTok videos of cats. It's just, I do have to not do political things sometimes. Otherwise I would go insane. And those are my diversions, like puppy videos. I know it's very, very exciting, but that's literally, it reboots me if I can watch kids play or something. Which is how I originally got a TikTok account. And then now they're not owned by China, but still owned by China. Whatever. If Trump's not railing about it, I'm not worried about it. I've been on Facebook since 09 or 10. I'm not worried about and I'm running for Congress. My personal information's out there. If you want to Google me or look me up, I'm right there. So I'm not worried about like my information being sold. TikTok doesn't have my credit card number or anything. It's just a video program. Anybody can find out, Rob Anderson said this. Yes, I did. Sorry. If you're in the debates, no, I'm also in dinner mode, Super Dave.
What?
Somebody asked if you're in the debate zone, can I have your ramen? There's a guy named Super Dave or Sugar Dave. Sorry, it's not. Right? I'm Super Dave. It is Super Dave. Asked if he could have my ramen. And I was like, no, I get in dinner mode, but I was staying in swampside mode and dinner mode. Then I'll be in kitten mode, then sleep mode. Then, tomorrow's, we got a whole checklist for the morning and that stuff y'all don't care about. Probably buying more TV ads if we can raise money. So the website is robandersonforcongress.com. Obviously, we're available on ActBlue. Obviously, I think I've said all I can. But I'm rambling. Yep, it is. That was a good night, Susan. And you're right. I did go on too long. What's up, Dave?
I have a closing comment from Debbie Green.
Okay. Debbie
Green says, as Princess Leia would say, you are our only hope.
Your only hope. Thank you. Good night. Keep fighting. Thank you. Yes, onward. That's David Taylor in New York. Super Dave. All right. Yeah. No, you can't have my ramen. You are a longtime supporter and friend, but my ramen is mine. If you told us earlier, I'd ordered you a bowl. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night. God bless. Keep an eye on the polls. Keep an eye on the social media. We keep you updated. Watch the debate tomorrow night. I cannot recommend it highly enough. We'll share the feed again on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'll start what are the other ones? Twitch. We'll start a Twitch again. I don't know. Not by tomorrow, but we're going to be there. So thank you all very much. Good night.